the host, guests, and call-in participants. These do not necessarily represent the views of this show's distributors or sponsors. This program may contain obscene, profane, or otherwise objectionable language. Viewer discretion is advised. Howdy ho, everybody. Coming to you cordless from glamorous Minneapolis. It's Monday night, August 3rd, 2026. I am Jim Peters, and welcome to another edition of Jim Peters at Night. This is episode number 374, if you're keeping score at home. CHRIS BURGARD joins us tonight. He is a former Hollywood actor, and the last few years he's been making documentary films. His latest one is called Remember the Alamo, Don't Sharia My Texas. And he joins us now from East Texas. Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Every day is Chris and Jimmy every day. How you doing?
I'm doing very good, thanks. I'm in Minneapolis. What can I tell you?
I'd say you need to escape and get down to Texas. That's what I'll tell you.
Well, yeah. I'm kind of with you on that. I'm with you. So, you've got a really interesting background. Before we get to the movie, I want to talk a little bit about you. Your publicity materials said that your first acting job in Hollywood was playing Matthew Broderick's double in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Is that true?
Yes, sir. His dance double. Yep.
Yeah. What was that like?
That was. I would have done that job for free. That was about the most fun you can have with your clothes on. It was not only so much fun, but it's what got me from Chicago to California and started my whole career. I've been a scholarship kid at Ruth Page Chicago Ballet, grew up on a horse farm, ended up on a ballet scholarship, and then ended up going to California to do movies. And
Chris, I don't have to tell you, that's quite a dichotomy. You grew up on a horse farm and you ended up in ballet. Holy shit.
Yeah. But I tell you what, though, man, the ballet really helped me because I didn't start riding bulls till I was 30 years old. And that's when most people quit riding bulls. And the reason I had as much fun and got to do what I did riding bulls was because ballet just had all the right muscles. It's turned out. When you ride horses, you ride parallel. So I grew up doing that. But when you ride bulls, everything's turned out because you're catching your heels down there. And Jim, I have to tell you, my life has just been one fun adventure, and I mean hard stuff too. But the places God's put me, I couldn't have scripted this. I've written Hollywood scripts and Hollywood movies, and I couldn't have written something as good as what God's done for my life. And if you met my wife, you know what I'm talking about because I so married up. Well, how Lisa ever said yes to me, I don't know, but that's been several just amazing decades. I've just been blessed.
That's a joke in my family too. All the guys in my family married way up. I do have to ask you before we move on, though. Did you dance in the scene, the parade scene in Ferris Bueller? Is that you?
Actually, that is actually all Matthew. But here's how that came about. So Matthew didn't want to do the whole dance thing. He just didn't. He said he had a bad knee from soccer and he couldn't dance. So John Hughes was like, great, no problem. We'll hire a dance double. In fact, he hired two. There's me and a guy named Tony. And then Tony ended up doing all the doubling stuff in the second unit, like driving the sports car and doing all that stuff. So Matthew's knee, when he found out that they were going to do the scene no matter what, got a lot better. So while Matthew is up with the girls, and I'd known all those girls because I danced with them in Chicago for years, while he's up on the parade, on the float, dancing, I'm at the camera doing the steps backwards so that he remembers what comes next and what thing. And it was pretty fun. I actually had a small part in the movie too, but they cut it out. And that was a big lesson in Hollywood because here I told people for a year, hey, this movie's coming out in this movie, you got to go see me. And then it took them longer and longer to release it. And then the movie came out and I hit the editing room floor. And that was a real lesson in humility. So it was just the greatest experience. And I just can't thank John Hughes enough for having me on that picture. Just being on that set for so long and seeing how A-list movies are made, it was just an incredible experience. And it's just blessed.
So how'd you end up in Texas?
So I made a movie about the border in 2005. We released it and played for Congress in 2007. In that movie, I went up and down the border in California, New Mexico, Arizona, and a lot in Texas for the better part of 2 years to make that movie. It started back.
We need to point out to the audience. So this is well before what's called the migrant crisis of 2020, right?
Yes, sir.
Well,
and that movie got me blacklisted in Hollywood. I didn't work for 3 years because I had things in there like the rape trees and what the cartels were doing, torturing, selling children, all that sort of stuff. We did that in 2005. We got attacked by everybody. We were going to go on Oprah Winfrey's show, and they sent us a cease and desist letter, and because we wanted to talk about we wanted to stop the rape trees. The rape trees are a horrible, horrible thing. Just part of the what was going on the border, and we just got attacked like crazy. And that movie is what woke my eyes up to how the country is really run. I thought that movie was going to be a huge success because it tested so well with people on both sides of the political aisle. It had information and brought truth to the light that no one knew. But the effect of it was they killed the messenger. They came after me and my wife really hard. People I'd known in Hollywood for 20 years wouldn't return phone calls. And that's when I learned how the country really works. And that's where my career took like a 90-degree turn from making feature films and TV shows. I spent a year on a show called Growing Pains, did another show called Tour Duty, did a bunch of movies. And after that stuff was all gone. But God put me on a path to making these movies about documentaries telling the truth. And that put me in Central America when there was a Marxist overthrow attempt of the government down there. It put me on the border on and off for 21 years. It put me in January 6th, and wasn't planning to make a movie about that. But when I saw the parallels between the false flag operation that was January 6th and what the Marxists had done down in Central America, it was the same playbook. Yeah. So we made it about that. And then the FBI came after me and my family, was investigating me as a terrorist threat to the United States for making that movie, which I took really personally since my dad had graduated from 109th session of the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. My dad was law enforcement. I've worked with law enforcement agencies for over 20 years, military, intelligence guys. So for them to come after a 60-some-year-old award-winning filmmaker as a terrorist threat, that really took things to a new level. And instead of sitting back on defense, we made another movie called The War on Truth about January 6th. And we laid out who the actual people were that were behind January 6th, what their agenda was, how they orchestrated it, how the 2014 color revolution in Ukraine was a dress rehearsal for what happened on January 6th. And I thought I was done making documentaries, and God put this one smack dab. Here we are at our remote East Texas ranch, and Muslim Brotherhood and jihad is now out in my backyard. And I've been fighting this stuff for 19 years. 19 years ago, we ran into jihadis in West Texas coming across. Sinaloa cartel was smuggling them across the border in a very remote part of Hudspeth County. And when the rancher's wife reported to the authorities, the cartel said they were going to cut her head off and take it back to Chihuahua. So we staged there for 2.5 days with 5 different law enforcement agencies. And that got me introduced to a task force out of the Department of Defense that was started by Rich Higgins and run by a guy named John Guandolo.
He's in your movie, yeah.
He's in the movie, yeah. So that's what got us fighting the Muslim Brotherhood 19 years ago. And here we are 19 years later. It's in my backyard. And
let me ask you, and it sounds like I'm getting off the topic, but I'm not. Really quick, in 25 words, who did cause January 6th? What was it?
Well, I guess the first easy answer would be the deep state. And if you want to know some of the players that we believe should be investigated, I would be looking at Victoria Nuland, Norm Eisen, Eric Sciamarella, John Brennan, Of course, Pelosi, but I don't know. She was. You look to Ukraine and look to see who made money and who profited from the 2014 operation in Ukraine, and you'll see pretty much the same framework.
So is this primarily about money or primarily about hatred?
It was a coup. It was a complete coup. It was to take over the United States of America and keep Trump from being president.
Yeah, people don't like this guy, do they? It's really terrible.
No, he threatens the whole system. In fact, I mean, I don't want to get too much off topic, but I mean, the Republicans hate him as much as the Democrats did.
Yeah.
And what you'll see in the movie, The War on Truth, the way Washington really operates, we have a great congressman from Texas, out of Houston, Troy Nels, and and this guy's ex-military, he was a sheriff for years and years. So he started doing his own investigation to January 6th. And when he started making that public, Nancy Pelosi came after him. And when he wouldn't shut up, over a Thanksgiving weekend, she had the Capitol Police raid his office, and they got caught. It's kind of like Watergate. Wow. And we believe they were looking for material to blackmail him so they could blackmail him into shutting up. And everything Troy said, everything he stood up for, it's been right. And we actually got to take that movie and we screened it for Congress last year. And it was pretty amazing. There were people on the Intelligence Committee at the end of the movie that were like, why didn't we know this stuff? And Tom Homan stood up and said, why the F am I learning about this from an effing movie when we have agencies that are supposed to be keeping us briefed? Yeah. It was that kind of deal. Did anything happen after that? No. Were any investigations opened? No.
What I've learned in the last 7 years or so that I've only been in the news business relatively recently, and I don't consider this show an actual news show. But what I've learned is that Washington seems to be a combination of really, really evil and some incredible incompetence.
Well, I don't like politics, but I was the creative and strategic media director for Herman Cain's presidential campaign. It's the first time I went into politics, and what I learned, and that set me on. I ended up helping a lot of campaigns after that. But what I learned behind the scenes, if people saw what I saw and how our political system really works and who's really in charge, we would have a national meltdown. It's not what you think.
I know what you're telling. I know that's true. I know you're absolutely right, because I've seen it too, and it's unbelievable. And that's actually part of the problem. People don't believe it. Some of the stuff's so outrageous. I have a friend of mine, David Strom, who writes for Hot Air. He talks about this all the time, about the fact that there's some of the stuff is so wildly outrageous that if you tell people, they don't believe it. Let's say no one's going to do that. It's like,
Nope. So, it's like during the Biden administration. The FBI came to my house while I was my house. They came a quarter mile in my ranch to the ranch house when I was in the middle of making a movie with Tom Homan on the border called Death County and the River of Broken Dreams. And to think that our government would work that way, and I don't think the timing was coincidence whatsoever. We had been working on a scene that showed how Joe Biden had partnered with the cartels to set up the largest child trafficking and sex trafficking organization that the country and possibly the world has ever seen. And while we were doing that, I was talking to my editor back in California. 2 hours later, he gets shot in the back, bullet lodges in his neck. He lived, but it's a crazy, dangerous world. And when I try to tell people that, our administration is running this huge sex trafficking operation and is buying and selling kids, people think you're crazy, but that's exactly what it was like during the Biden administration.
Yeah. So, and actually that brings me to the current film here, remember the Alamo. So because the thing is, this is one of those things too, where people, I don't understand how people in government, and it is people in government, because a lot of these are elected officials, can let the law book of a foreign civilization into our society. It seems absurd. We have laws here. We don't need any more laws. We don't need any laws from a civilization that does not really have anything in common with ours. And yet there's people that are okaying this stuff. That's something I find amazing.
Well, it's a couple of things. It's infiltration at the highest levels, and it's because America's for sale. I mean, you saw Yasser Qadi in the movie bragging about how they weren't going to stop the building of Epic City because their lobbyists were so good, they spent so much money. He's not wrong. That's how they've gotten this far. What America needs to understand is that the Muslim Brotherhood has declared war on the United States of America. In the 2008 Hamas Holy Land Foundation trial, that became public knowledge for the entire country. This is their stated mission as passed by their commission in 1991. Now, the fact that the Muslim Brotherhood for, let's see, 2008, this is 226, how many years ago was that? 14 years ago? I don't know, even more. Yeah, 14 years ago. So for 14 years, the Muslim Brotherhood has been at war with the United States of America, and we've done nothing. Why is that? That should scare the crap out of every American citizen. So right now, this movie, you've seen this movie. This movie is turning out to be the most dangerous tool to the Muslim Brotherhood that I think they've faced since they've started their attack on the United States. Everywhere we've taken this film and the training, the intelligence training that we bring in with it, the military experts, the ASIG team, it's made a difference, and it's stopped Sharia dead in its tracks. Because you're right. Why is there even a question that we should be all against Sharia law? You cannot have Sharia law and constitutional law in the same civilization.
No
matter what these imams are telling you. And what we're dealing with, and this is why this country is committing empathetic suicide, because they don't want to offend anybody from a different religion. They don't want to hurt their feelings. And we're the United States of America. We have freedom of religion here. But what people need to understand is Islam is not a religion. Islam is a civilization.
Yeah.
It is.
Laura Logan said that in your movie, and I actually put that down as a quote here. She said, and I got to credit you on two things here. First of all, I saw, I'm going to sit down and watch your movie. And I look at the time, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. And at this point in my life, I got to be honest, Chris, I don't want to do anything for longer than 2 hours. And I thought, well, okay, maybe I'll just watch the first half of it, No, I watched it all the way through. It was amazingly, it was not padded. I mean, it's like you actually, the time flies. The second thing is I really have to compliment you on the way you handled the interview with Laura Logan, because that was incredibly painful for her to talk about that stuff. She got raped by a crowd. I mean, it's unbelievable. And why are we, and I talk about this this is the reason I wanted to have you on the show. We are dealing with civilizations that are 300 years behind us. Why? What's the point? At the end of, I could go on about the fact there's some evil involved here. You're right. They want to take over the world, but still, they don't do anything. I mean, they're not inventing anything. They're not sending any rockets up into space. It's like the Palestinians, the Israelis are evil. Well, the Israelis built Tel Aviv in like 50 years. The Palestinians had 14 years completely unencumbered, and they didn't do a goddamn thing because all their entire focus is on killing Jews.
So you have to understand what Sharia law is and what the priorities are in that political system. Like Sharia law isn't just about laws like we look at America's laws. Like we have laws for how to drive, speed limits, don't kill, don't do this. Well, Sharia law isn't just for that. Sharia law is also for your faith. Whereas we have separation of church and state under the Constitution, under Sharia law, the head of the state is Allah. Okay, so when you're looking at how do I explain this? It's not just that it's a medieval set of laws that hasn't changed since 632 AD. It is an attack not only on Western civilization but on Christianity itself. I don't know if you remember from the movie, but I have very long and engaged debates and conversations with a man named Aziz Budri, who is the founder and chairman of the Islamic Association of Texas.
Yeah, and before you go on, you got to give him a little bit of credit for actually showing up and talking to you.
Well, I give him huge amount of credit. I have a lot of respect for Aziz.
Yeah, I do too.
He came in there, as you saw in the movie. They're trying to build not a mosque. We already have a mosque, an Islamic center, just down the road from us. You saw I tried to meet with those fellows. I was very respectful. They hung up on me. I went down to Epic Center where they want to build Epic City, and we had weeks, if not months, of emails going back and forth about doing this interview. And when I showed up for the interview, they called the Plano Police Department on me. They're bringing out 6 to 8 squad cars, and they shut down the road to the mosque just for me. And you see in the movie, I go up and I ask him, and I talk to him. Like, yep,
it's a little bit of overkill. It's kind of comical.
Yeah, why? Because what you hear on the 911 call? Oh, there's white guys in cowboy hats out on the sidewalk. One may have a pistol in a holster. Well, it's Texas. Everybody has pistols. Law enforcement, and yeah, you do have white guys in cowboy hats. Not that this is a racial thing, but if that's what you're going to call us on the 911 call, I don't think you could illustrate the clash of civilizations better than that. You're calling 911. There's white guys in cowboy hats.
Right.
That is fun too. And people, y'all have to understand, for those of y'all that haven't seen the movie, Texas is the biggest target. This is going on throughout the whole country, but Texas is the target because Texas is the energy capital of the United States of America. It is the belt buckle, the Bible Belt. Where I live, the most political question you'll get is what church do you go to? Not do you go to church, it's what church do you go to? So that's why right now Sharia in Texas it's expanding rapidly out of the metropolitan areas, especially Dallas, Fort Worth. They built 24 mosques in 24 months, and many of them out of old churches. And they're expanding east. Well, they come to where our communities are. East Texas is not metropolitan Dallas. And when they hit here, I think that East Texas is going to be the rock that breaks Sharia in Texas, and it's going to spread all over. When they hit here, people are saying, no, So, and that's why the movie is called Remember the Alamo, Don't Sharia My Texas, because I've been fighting the Muslim Brotherhood for 19 years. We've had intelligence trainings all over the country. I've never seen people react and stand up so quickly and so firmly as I did in Texas. And that's when I just knew that if Texas knows what's going on, they'll stand up. We'll kick Sharia out of Texas, and we will be an example for the rest of the country to follow. And I have to tell you where I was wrong, Jimmy. I thought we would just tour Texas because I knew the algorithms were going to hit us. I knew we wouldn't be able to get on the media. I can't buy airtime on Fox News or ABC. So we're going to go old school. We're going to take the movie on tour. And I figured we would do Texas first, then go into the rest of the country. And I was wrong because we were getting calls from New York, from Chicago, from Spokane, from Colorado, from Tennessee, from Utah. We've got a list. We can't get to people fast enough. When I was in New York, we did an event in Long Island and then upstate New York, and met with 2 synagogues in Manhattan that want us to come back. We were just west of Chicago. They're trying to build an Islamic city out there, and a bunch of farmers and churches have gotten together to stop them. And I think they're going to win.
Hey, could you explain something, Chris? I wasn't really clear about this in the film, about the fact that in the film you mentioned about the fact that they build mosques before they even have a congregation. Is that the way this works?
Exactly. See, you're thinking like a Westerner, Jim. If you and I were down here in Texas and we had a Bible study on our ranch and it grew to be too big, we needed more room, we would go out, look for a different location, and start a church. Mm-hmm. It's the exact opposite of how Islam is spreading in Texas. Islam spreading in Texas is more like a military strategy. You go out, you secure the land, you build an Islamic center or a mosque, and then according to their traditions and to Sharia law, they claim a 3-mile perimeter around that building. 3 miles, they claim that for Islam. What they're doing is they're buying the territory, building the mosque centers, and then bringing people in. And not just people from across Texas, people from all over the world. In the Islamic world right now, they're declaring that Dallas is the Mecca of the West. That is how they are pushing this. So you're seeing not only...
Chris, how did they come to that conclusion?
Islam?
Yeah,
The
no,
world of,
yeah. How did they come to the conclusion that Texas is the Mecca of the West?
because that was their strategy. You have to take down Texas to take the United States of America. That is their target. That's why they've targeted Texas. Like you saw in the film, we compared what's happening in Nigeria right now, where people are being killed every day. Christians genocide. It's Islamic genocide against Christians. It's going on every day. You saw the people whose family members have died. Their houses have been burned down.
I had a
People
guy
are
on here talking about that. Yeah.
Yep.
Mike,
I mean,
I can't remember his last name, unfortunately, off the top of my head. It's terrible.
I'm making this movie and I'm getting calls from Nigeria 2 to 3 times a week. Our intelligence says they're coming. They're coming. Can you guys help us? Can you send help? Can you get to Trump? And sure enough, next day they're attacked. They kill 3-4 people in a village. Day after that, they go to have the funeral and they wait till everybody gets together at the funeral. Then they attack them again. And we're talking, you saw in the movie, you saw children, cutting the heads off of children. Who does that? So
that's the thing. It's hard to make an argument that this is a religion. They treat people so terribly.
Well, but here's what people need to understand. And forget about AI. Forget about Googling it because it is so skewed pro Sharia, it'll knock your socks off. Read the original text. In Christianity, so to answer your other question anyway, it's leapfrogging, how they build these things and they go on and on and on. And if you look at the Dallas-Fort Worth area now, they built 24 new mosques in 24 months, and you start overlapping those circles and you have the DFW area and all you see are blue circles, then you can understand how they can claim that territory and how they use those images to send out to the rest of the Islamic world, to Pakistan, to Qatar, to Saudi Arabia. That is all a call of action. Come here. And that is all based on, that's why I'm getting back to the books, the life of Muhammad. Because what Muhammad did was, and folks, you need to read these books. In the Christianity, we have the Bible. You read the Bible, you understand Christianity. In Islam, if you read the Quran, you're only getting about 14% of what the religion and the civilization is. You have to read the Hadiths, especially those by Bukhari, and you have to read the Sirah, S-I-R-A. The Sirah is the biography of Muhammad written by his contemporaries. And I suggest everyone start there because without understanding who Muhammad is, there's no context of the Quran. Muhammad was a warlord. He was a slaver. He was a pedophile. And in Islam, the ultimate mission is to emulate the perfect Muslim who was Muhammad. So when you see Logan getting raped by, a crowd of over 200 men, that's legal under Islam, under Sharia, because she wasn't covered up. Okay, she's kafir. Kafir means non-believer. You're kafir. I'm kafir. When you see somebody coming in and shooting up Bufords down in Austin and killing all those kids, the Western eyes look at that as a lone gunman who happens to be Islamic. No, in Islam, those images are portrayed as a single warrior for Allah went into the capital of Texas, into the capital of the enemy, and took down all these people, and it took a whole police department to take him out. He's a hero. He's in paradise. This is a war that's being waged and declared upon the United States of America, and we're committing empathetic suicide through our ignorance.
Yeah. Have you, Gad Sag wrote this book recently called Suicidal Empathy. A lot of people have been using that term. I don't know if you've heard about this or.
No, who wrote that? I got the term from Alan West, and I agree with him. What's the book you're talking about?
It's by Gad Saad. That's G-A-D, last name S-A-A-D. He's a philosopher. And the book came out about maybe 2-3 months ago, and it's called Suicidal Empathy. And he's basically saying the West is killing itself, basically trying to accommodate all these people and all these crazy ideas. And people,
he's 100% right. You look
at
Tommy Robinson in the UK, and Tommy's in the movie. Tommy's a friend of mine. They attack him as being this really angry, racist guy. Well, why is Tommy angry? Because it started out his 13-year-old cousin, Jeanette, was raped by a whole house full of bearded Muslim men, and the police wouldn't do anything about it because they didn't want to be labeled as bigots.
Right.
And now you have enough followers of Islam in the government in the UK where what was done to his cousin wasn't against Sharia law, and that's where their allegiance is. So no, they're not going to arrest him. How do you have 250,000 child and women and children rape cases in UK?
Oh, it's terrible.
Unsolved? That doesn't happen by accident.
No, it doesn't. But the thing I don't understand is, you're right. There's a lot of Muslims now in government in the UK, but then there's a lot of people that aren't, like Keir Starmer, who just kind of look the other way. That's now, people say, well, he's doing it for votes, but that's a really, really bad reason to let people get raped.
So it's not just Sharia that we're fighting. It's like you saw in the film. It's the red-green axis. It's the communist Marxists working with the Muslim movement to take down the United States from within. And there's precedent for this. The BLM movement.
Yeah.
Okay, that was started and funded by the Muslim Brotherhood and the CCP. That's just a fact. That's who did it. If you go back even further, 1979 in Iran. Remember when you and I are old enough to remember when the embassy were taken? They said, "Oh, it was a bunch of Iranian students, these left-wing guys." Well, that was the left partnered up with the fundamentalist Muslims. I don't like to use the word Islamist because that's a word that's made up to make people feel better, okay? So they partnered up with them, and what did Khomeini and his guys do after they got into power? They imprisoned and killed all their Marxist buddies that helped them get into power.
Yeah.
That's just their army of useful idiots. That's what we're facing here now in the United States of America. When you see Queers for Palestine.
Don't even get me. That's the funniest joke I've heard in 20 years. I talk about that all the time on here. Queers for Palestine. Yeah, you be queer and go over to Palestine. They'll throw you off a building. It's like, it's hilarious. But it's like Bizarro World. How could you support that? If you're a gay person in America, how could you support that? I don't understand.
Because it feels good and people are run by their emotions. When you sit down and try to explain them, for 60 years we've been under attack in a fifth-generation war, as laid out by Colonel Yuri Bezimov, who defected from the KGB in 1983. I think he came over, might have been 84. But he laid out the entire plan to take down America from the United States, the United States of America from within, and how they would create an army of useful idiots that would help them do it. It's exactly what's going on. It's just like if you read Cloward and Pliven, or if you understand Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky, in order to take down the state, you have to erode trust in the government. And what's the first line of interaction between the government and the people? It's the police, which is why you have to get rid of thin blue line. Hence, defund the police. Hence why people I knew that I think used to be normal people think that ICE is evil and a bunch of Hitler because those folks died in Minneapolis. Well, here's a clue, guys. If you don't want to get shot, don't jump in between the police.
That's right. Thank you very much. That's right. Don't jump in front of a it's just stupid. I can't.
So we're in we're in fifth generation war, which is on its way to sixth generation war. Fifth generation is the information war, and it's the infiltration. We've been infiltrated at the highest levels. Sixth generation is when it starts to go kinetic. And it's going kinetic already in different places. I mean, there have been more Islamic terror attacks in Texas than any other state in America. And we just say no more.
Do you think, Chris, I'm starting to get the impression, like my zeitgeist feelers are that people are kind of sort of just starting to get a clue about this. When I mean people, I mean the general public, that they're just starting to wake up. I mean, is that what you're finding on your road show here, taking the movie around?
People see the movie and they go, oh my gosh, that's why it's happening. I'm not a bad person. I don't have to feel guilty about this. This is an orchestrated event. This is something that's been going on. Because people are so, we're First Amendment. We're bred to be tolerant of other religions. But what you don't understand is that, Islam isn't a religion. It's like, let's compare Judaism to Islam. Okay. When you harvest an animal, say a cow, through halal, I'm in Texas, I'm in the middle of cattle country. When we harvest animals, boom, we hit them. They don't even know what happened to them. It's humane, it's fast, and you move on. In halal, they slice the animal's neck while a man is praying and sacrificing that animal to Allah. And the cows are screaming. The cows, they don't die right away. They go into seizures. They go like that.
Yeah.
It rattles the whole thing. And the cows
Right.
behind them can hear this stuff going on. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, that's not too different from how the Jews butcher in kosher stuff. The difference being the Jewish community isn't forcing kosher food on the rest of Texas. Here in Texas, the push for halal is huge. They're trying to push it so that in our public school systems in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and the communities outside it, that they only serve halal food into the schools, and they want us to pay for it. Okay, that's jihad. There's a word you all need to remember. It's called hijra. Hijra is Arabic for immigration jihad. And it's based on what Allah did. Remember, the whole thing is to emulate the life of Muhammad. Excuse me, not Allah. Muhammad. And what did Muhammad do? He gets kicked out of Mecca after 14 years of preaching. He only gets 130 followers, gets kicked out of Mecca. He goes to Medina, where he starts working politically and he starts getting violent. And all of a sudden, he becomes the biggest warlord in all of Arabia. That is hijra. So when you see what's going on in Europe, the floods of military-age men, and just this last week, what happened in Spain. When you see that happening, that's not by accident. That's because they are doing as they are commanded by Allah to do hijra, which is immigration jihad. It's why Europe is mostly gone right now. And that's a real thing that we're standing up to. And then the other word you should understand is taqiyya. Hijra is immigration jihad. Taqiyya is to lie or deceive in order to further jihad. You see how this works here? As you saw with Mr. Budry. I mean, Mr. Budry said a lot of things in the movie that you look at him and you go, really? Really? Muhammad never started a war. Muhammad never attacked anybody. It was all defensive wars, but yet, they just conquered. And we back up everything in the movie with facts and in historical reality. But that's what we're facing right now. And it is a conundrum for Americans that we have big hearts. We embrace people for them to be able to worship God the way they want. But you have to understand, this is about conquest. If we do nothing, Texas will become eventually an Islamic state. As the way it is now, Islam is set to be the second largest religion in America by 2040.
Yeah. Well, the two things that you brought up there about the fact that, talking about another example of that, about the fact that the Islamists don't want us walking our dogs. They don't want us having dogs.
Well, the reason is, again, that goes back to Muhammad. Okay, and if you read his biography, he hated dogs. They thought they were unclean. So in Islam, they're called haram. Haram means bad. Halal means good. So they did change it so that you could use dogs in war and you could use dogs for protections. But it's specifically stated in the hadiths that you are not allowed to keep dogs as pets. And how you talk about a clash of civilizations. And there's other forms of jihad that I'm sure you've seen this in Minnesota. When you see a whole bunch of military-aged men praying in the middle and shutting down a major street or a boulevard, that's not because there isn't room in the mosque. That's jihad.
Yes, I know.
Claiming that territory, and those images are going out to the whole Islamic world, and they say, hey, come to Dearborn, come to Minnesota, come to Dallas. Right. This is the reason why. When you get local communities to change their noise ordinances so that you can blast out the call to prayer 5 times a day, as far as they hear that music or that call to prayer, they're claiming that territory. That's jihad. Putting halal on our kids is jihad. When my friends in Dallas are getting frustrated because every time they order DoorDash, their food comes and there's a little yellow sticker and it says, this is halal, was butchered halal. It drives them crazy because the ones that are really Christians, they don't want to be eating the meat from sacrificed animals before God. And the ones that love animals don't want to eat the meat out of tortured animals. But they're not getting a choice because it's being forced upon them. That's jihad. When you go and you tell a liquor store owner, hey, we're going to shut you down because selling liquor, which they're doing here in Texas, that's haram. That's bad. It's not halal. We're going to shut you down. That's jihad.
Yeah, now they're screwing with my ability to live the way I want. And that's
Correct.
that's actually the crux here. Our form of society is based on freedom, and we're arguably the freest country in the world. We're the only country that has both the First and the Second Amendment, the only ones, and they're trying to tell me how to live. And guess what? Fuck them.
Well, that's why we drew the line in the movie, because I mean, I really tried to make this movie not political whatsoever. But when
you can't, can you? You have to make it. Go ahead.
Barack Obama stands up and says we're going to fund 5 days till we fundamentally transform the United States of America, he wasn't kidding. You know, the 2008 Hamas Holy Land Foundation trial, we won. We got the bad guys, and we not only got the bad guys, we followed the money. We got the networks to a bunch of more bad guys, some of which unindicted co-conspirators were the head of the Council on American Islamic Relations. These same guys were acting as the press department and facilitating the Muslim Brotherhood to take down the United States of America. First part of the trial ends in 2008. Obama comes in with Eric Holder. What do? They cancel everything. No more investigation. Do not send out those indictments. And then they even take some of the same people that run investigations, some of the same people that are about to be indicted, and they put them in the federal government. Then you take folks from Somalia. You may have seen a couple of Somalian folks run around Minneapolis. I don't know if you get out much, but
plenty.
Yeah, if I was a young kid growing up in one of the hottest countries in the world, Somalia, I don't know that I'd be dreaming. I want to move to America, but I want to move to the coldest place in America,
right?
Where there's the biggest concentration.
It's the biggest irony ever. That's right. They moved from the hottest place in America on Earth to the coldest place on Earth.
It's a strategy. It's a strategy to fundamentally change the United States of America, to take her down from the inside. That's what we've been fighting. And until people understand that, and I highly recommend you all read General Flynn's book, the Citizen's Handbook to Fifth Generation Warfare, because that's what we're fighting right now.
Yeah, I got it. Just as an aside, Chris, that guy got really, really screwed. It's unbelievable what they did to him. I mean, he was a true war hero, and they basically went out of their way to ruin his life. It's pretty amazing.
You know, this is the fourth project I've done with the general, and I hate that he went through that. It was horrible. It was so hard on his family, but thank God I had that learning experience, because when they came after me, they tried to Flynn me. And I even said that to him. It's on tape. I said, you know, you should have Googled me. This isn't my first rodeo. You're not going to Mike Flynn me. And that's what they were trying to do, weaponizing the Department of Justice, the FBI guys. That is so third world, but that's what we just lived through.
I know.
And still are living through. I mean, I don't even know if the investigation is done on us. We've sent in requests, and they won't say.
Chris, let's play the trailer to your film here. I'm going to put on the screen. We'll be on the screen too.
أمركم وشركاءكم ثم لا يكن أمركم عليكم غمة.
This American man must pay the price for America's failure to surrender to the Islamic State and submit to the will of Allah. The death of this kafir will soon be repeated 300 million times over. The caliphate will destroy the great Satan. We will urinate on your constitution, and soon you shall have Sharia in your White House.
Damn it, Mohammed!
Sorry.
This is an insult to Allah!
I spilled my juice.
I'll spill your blood, you son of a Hollywood whore!
On Sharia My Texas.
There's something about Texas and how God has blessed it, and God has blessed the people of Texas.
When I see God connecting all of us the way that he is, I go, man, he's raising an army.
Man. If we want to stay here, we must talk to America about Sharia.
Nobody in the government, civilian government, DOD, Intel, knew anything about Sharia.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
Did you find that the Biden administration's DHS had a formal vetting process in place?
The department did not have a formal process at the start of the OAW.
That's astounding.
My wife got confronted at 9:30 at a grocery store parking lot by a guy saying, "You should not be on the street. You're gonna be raped."
people get excited and the rape is done. Who's to blame? It is even the girl to blame.
Under his system, he's allowed to rape any woman that's unattended.
My cousin was 13 or 14, Jeanette. She woke up naked in a house, lots of bearded Muslims raping her.
There's no such thing as a Muslim country where children are not trafficked.
What you have right there is a clash of civilizations, not a clash of religions, a clash of civilizations.
Is Islam a religion?
It's a civilization, not a religion.
What about the Muslim Brotherhood? What about Hezbollah? What about Hamas? What ties the entire global movement together is Sharia. The stated purpose of Islam is to wage jihad.
They don't apologize about jihad. They're not afraid of jihad. It's a part of who we are.
Since 2020, there's been over 500 Catholic churches that have been assaulted. You don't hear about the Christian churches that have been attacked. If a mosque was attacked, they would be crucified.
If you build a mosque in the middle of nowhere, you're going to get Islamists. And Muslims come.
These imams or clerics are openly calling for the takeover of this country, the Islamization of this country.
This is the correct religion, and we will not stop until it enters every home.
Imam says to me in the interview that the United Kingdom will be a Muslim country within 20 years.
I stood outside a mosque in Manchester, and when I stood there, within a 2-mile radius, I found that 16 people had gone to fight for ISIS.
And you see areas like Paris or London, whose culture is being absolutely eroded.
You have a lot of people from the Muslim Brotherhood that have infiltrated all areas of our intelligence community, of our legal community, and into the government. Why would you put a knife to your own throat?
Army Major Nadal Hassan was convicted of killing 13 people and wounding 32 others.
The state with the most jihadi attacks in the United States, Texas.
We are in a battle not just for the future of Texas or the future of the United States of America. Texas is on the front lines in the battle for nothing less than the future of Western civilization.
Don't be deceived and don't be afraid.
You have Texas politicians believing in whatever keeps them elected. If Texas falls, that the rest of the United States falls.
Don't mess with Texas.
Shepherds aren't weak, and I'm not weak, and I'm not gonna let anyone come in here and hurt this flock.
America starts in Texas. This is another Alamo. This time, we're gonna win.
The battle for Texas begins now.
Our thanks there to CHRIS BURGARD for joining us from Texas. That's really interesting stuff. And, you know, the things what I was telling him at the beginning is that as I've been doing this now for about 6-7 years, I'm just astonished. When I was a year into it, I was astonished the stuff I was finding out. It's like, you folks don't have a clue. I mean, this is the problem. You listen to the mainstream media, you don't have a clue. I mean, even if they're not incorrect, in other words, even if what they're telling you is correct, it's so skimming the surface that it doesn't really matter. It's pointless information. I mean, my God, there's so many people basically trying to do so many evil things, or just for money. There's that too. I mean, he was talking about the fact that I asked Chris, like, how is this getting by non-Muslim lawmakers and elected officials? Yeah, he said, yeah, money. Yeah, they float money. It's I don't know. You know, I've talked about this before. Forgive me, I'm getting off the topic here and we haven't even gotten started, but the thing is, I really have to mention this. I was thinking about this the other night, you know, like Joe Scarborough is on Morning Joe on BS Now, or whatever the hell it's called. And he talks crap. I mean, the guy shouldn't be on TV. He's actually a pretty good broadcaster. And I've said this in the past, that 15 years ago, when Morning Joe started, it was one of the best talk shows on television. And once he married his co-host, it completely devolved into BS. Well, also the fact the channel did too, but there's that, but if hypothetically, they're paying him about $5 million a year. They're paying both of them. That couple is taking home about $10 million a year doing that show. I can't fault somebody especially if you have little kids, and I don't think they do. I think all their kids are grown, they're adults. But if you have little kids and somebody tells you, we're going to pay you $5 million a year to lie through your teeth, and it's just offered to you, most people I don't think would fight it. It's like this has been my entire. I can't do it. I can't do it. First of all, and also maybe this is a difference. I've never had children, so maybe that's plays into this. But I don't know if I can fault people for lying through their teeth for big money if they're supporting their family. I used to think there's no way in hell anyone should do that, but now I don't know. But in that particular case, like I said, if I'm right, I don't think they have any school-age kids. I think they're all grown. But whatever. This is the Jimcast for Monday, August 3rd. I got stuff. You probably heard about this. There was a shooting in Idaho over the weekend at an In-N-Out Burger. A guy killed a couple people, shot a bunch more. And this is the amazing thing. He got shot by one of the bystanders who happened to have a gun on him. And the guy who shot him, this is the guy who shot the perpetrator, whose name has not been released yet. And I'll get to that in a second. The guy's name is Jordan Salinas. He's 35. He took up gun training after a shooting incident that he was tangentially involved in 2021. So he pulls his rifle out, his pistol out of his holster and shoots the guy. And he said the guy was astonished that he got shot. No, I'm thinking, you're in Idaho, buddy. What the hell are you expecting? Well, how stupid can you be? Why don't you do this somewhere like in LA or something where, where guns aren't allowed anywhere? It's like, it's unbelievable. Now, amazingly, even though Salinas hit the guy, that didn't kill him. He ended up crawling off to some space and actually shot himself. And that did him in. But he said that he looked at this guy. This guy looked at him. We just shocked that he was shot. You're in Idaho, man. It's like, it's like, God, I don't know. What are you expecting? Jesus Christ. In Britain, they're now, and this has been true for some time, but they're cracking down. Now is considered a hate crime to display either the English or British flags or the UK flags. Just displaying them is considered a hate crime because in what is this, Oxfordshire, they're actually starting to arrest people because people are displaying them because they're tired of it's exactly what Chris was talking about. They're tired of being rolled over by the Muslim interlopers of their country. And they're basically, the native people are basically getting steamrolled and they're getting tired of it. But the British government considers putting up a flag, putting up the national flag as a hate crime. Yeah. All right. I live in bizarre world, I guess. Am I the only person that's shocked by that? That's just that idea. Now I know that's been going on for a while, but it made the news again because of the Oxfordshire city councils. They're doubling down. They're going to crack down. They're tired of it. Going back to Texas, where Chris was calling from, and I announced this last week. The Texas Stock Exchange opened last week, but on Friday they started that. What I said is that they'd opened, but they weren't taking trades yet. They started taking trades on Friday. So some people are calling it Y'all Street. I'm just easily amused. Forgive me. And then Texas, its abbreviation is TXSE, and people, I guess that's pronounced Texie. I guess that's what it's called. It's called Texie. I had a conversation with a friend of mine. This guy grew up next door. I'm not going to name his last name. Probably doesn't want to have anything to do with the show. No one does. His name's Paul. He grew up next door. It was kind of like growing up next to Mr. Wizard. His dad was his dad was an air traffic controller by profession, but his family was generations of scientists. And it was pretty amazing. I mean, which is probably the reason I'm a nerd. But anyway, I'm talking to Paul about training AI at a family gathering. We invite him to our family gatherings, and he said, well, I said, well, I don't understand what the problem is because AI is just reading it the same way I read it. As long as it doesn't regurgitate anything verbatim, it's not really breaking any copyright laws. And Paul pointed this out to me, and I never thought about this before. He said, yeah, but they're not paying, you may go down to Barnes and Noble and spend $20 to read a book, but AI is not paying the $20 to read the book. Well, it turns out now Google and OpenAI are actually paying for the books, millions of them. They're buying like one copy of millions of books and scanning them into the AI. So basically they're doing what Paul said, and that should get them around the copyright law. That's not, it's reading something you paid for. So, God bless you, President Trump over the weekend, he won at Bedminster, his own golf course. He won a tournament. I did actually write down the name of the tournament. Let me see if I can find it here really quick. Hold on. No, there isn't. Oh, it's the club championship. So it's at Bedminster, which he owns, and he had the top score for the senior division. He won the senior championship. He's 80, and get a load of this. He golfed to 70, 2 under par. And this is not any of those things where there were any, MacGuffins or mulligans or gimme putts or anything, because this was highly documented. And he golfed to 2 under par, and he's 80 years old. And also on top of that, this course is, I guess, particularly difficult. So, if people say who's writing this guy off, saying he's on his last leg, geez, I don't know. That's pretty impressive. I certainly couldn't do that, And I have friends who are really good golfers, and they'd be lucky to do it on a good day to break par. So, well, congratulations to the president. He said in a X post, he said, I don't even have much time to practice. He said it all comes down to talent. I bet it does. And speaking of talent, do you remember Donna Mills? You probably don't remember Donna Mills because you're probably not as old as I am. Donna Mills was on was it Falcon Crest or what was the name of the oh shit, I can't remember. I just assumed Knots Landing, that's what it was. She was on Knots Landing, and she's gonna go on OnlyFans now and make some money, and she's 85 years old. Did you hear me? She's on OnlyFans and she's 85. And I saw some pictures of her. She looks pretty damn good. I can't say she doesn't look 40. I'll be perfectly honest with you, but she still looks pretty damn good. I'm sure there's old perverts like me who remember this woman who will sign up in droves. She's probably going to make a fortune, even though on a puerile level, you could probably find a better shot somewhere else, but whatever. It doesn't matter, does it? And finally, half of America says they're having sex at work. Now, the thing that amazed me about this is out of the New York Post, and that is, I read a few years ago, about maybe 10 years ago or so, I don't know, a long time, that about 75% of Americans said that not that they are having sex at work, but they had sex at work at one time. 75% of Americans said they had sex at work at least once. So I don't know if they're turning the word in here. These people are saying they're saying 47% of Americans are having sex at work. I guess that means currently. I don't know. But God bless you if you are. Find a closet. That's all I'll say. Okay, so on Thursday, we're coming back on Thursday. You got a show on Thursday. Rest of this month, we got shows on Mondays and Thursdays. After Labor Day, we're coming back on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're going to do shows. And Thursday, we got another filmmaker, a guy named Steve Lance. His job, he's actually the host of the Capitol Report on NTD News, which is an over-the-top news service put out by the Epoch Times, or television news service. It's actually pretty good if you check it out. It's free. They have a app on Roku if you want to grab it. And he is a spokesman and also kind of sort of the star of the film. I've already watched it, called Unbroken, the Untold Story of Shenyang. Now, Shenyang is primarily a dance company that tours the world. And actually they actually have several companies. It's kind of like Cirque du Soleil. They have several companies going on tour simultaneously. And part of their show is devoted to the traditions, Chinese traditions that have been basically obliterated by the current communist China. And for that reason, and you'd think they wouldn't care, but apparently they care a lot. And I've known about this well before I even heard about Steve or heard about this film. The Chinese government has gone to great lengths to try to shut this dance company down, even though they're not in China. They're in the United States. And so, I've seen the film. It's very interesting. It's fascinating. And we're going to talk to Steve about that on Thursday. He's going to be our guest. So I want to thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you for joining for CHRIS Burgard to join us again from the great state of Texas. And I hope you guys will like and subscribe us where we're at. I just found out this morning that one of Brandon Smith's shorts on TikTok, as of this morning, has been seen by 47,000 people. So that's kind of cool. We're having very good luck on TikTok, not so much on YouTube, and I'm pissed as hell at those people. They're shadow banning us. I know a lot of people don't do well on TikTok say that, but no, they really are. I know when it happened. I know when they started, and man, it's like the numbers between TikTok and YouTube, the dichotomy is just ridiculous. I'm bitching. I'm bitching about it. So anyway, yeah. So I don't know, if you get a chance on TikTok, go check those out. We'll be back with Steve Lance on Thursday. Good night, Uncle Donnie, wherever you are, and good night to you, wherever you may be. We'll see you on Thursday, folks. Take care.